founder Azim Premji also attributes his success to hard work and lots of luck. You've had author Bob Miglani and Oyo's venture partners Rehan Khan, who also happened to be the earliest investor in Ola, having authored a book called How to Make Your Own Luck. Yes, they actually claim that there's a method to creating your own luck, so a method to the madness, if you will. Rahul Dayama, in fact, caught up and sat down with the authors for this freewheeling and interesting chat. Have a listen.
We really wrote the book because we wanted to encourage people, because there is this notion out there that some people are luckier than other people. And then with that notion, you tend to start with a handicap in life, and you don't go on to do great things, and you always feel that God wasn't very kind to you for whatever reason. But what we found when we looked back at our careers and we analyzed many business cases, we found that luck pretty much favors everybody. It depends on whether you grab the opportunity, whether there are certain right things you're doing in order to get those opportunities. So we wanted to capture that in a book, and we came up with these 7 points, what we call the 7 accelerators, that you can use to increase your probability of being lucky.
Got it. Yeah. Bob, coming to you, luck is very crucial. You're saying that we have 7 acts. Which one of them is closest to your heart? Which is the quickest trick that people can really use for it to work?
Well, I think the key thing is that to realize that there are a lot of things in life you cannot control. Okay? Maybe being born in the right family, the right environment, the right place, you can't control those things. But there are things that you can, and those are 80% of those things. And for me, it's about being an expert and being really good at something you do, and becoming an expert and finding a niche that you can get visible and get known, whether it's in your job, in your career, or your life. It's really about making your own luck instead of relying on yourself to get lucky.
Got it. Rehan, I have to ask you this, and you sort of shared the backstory on how the early bet on Ola, Dhruva happened. Of course, we'll focus a lot more on Ola. What's the backstory? How did you really land on that gold mine when none of them really saw the opportunity back then? They started off as a cab hailing service, and you really bet on them very early on.
Yeah, so Rahul, it adds to the point that Bob just made. And the point is, if you understand a subject, you understand a domain, your odds of making a great bet as an investment or as an entrepreneur doing something great in that domain exponentially go up, right? Even the great Warren Buffett said, work within your sphere of competence, which meant that do things that you understand. So what had happened was, the backstory on Ola is that about a year prior to that, I had looked at Redbus. And through Redbus, I got acquainted with the entire ground transportation space. So when Ola came my way a year and a half later, I understood ground transportation, I understood the various nuances, this whole idea that Ola had that we're going to aggregate vehicles versus buying them, this whole thing that they had that we're going to use a massive technology platform to run it and algorithmic technologies. It resonated with me. I understood that because I understood ground transportation. Had I not understood ground transportation, I would have looked at it and said, oh, I don't know what this is. And there are many great companies which I did not invest in. I missed investing in Capital Float because at that time I didn't understand fintech. I didn't know it. So when it came my way, I didn't invest in it.
Also, I think Freshworks.
Exactly. Freshworks, I remember Girish emailed me and I did end up investing in it, and Oyo, and so many others, right? So I didn't know that. So while you have this case and people say, hey, Rehan got lucky with this, there are many others I didn't invest in, right? And the reason I got lucky is because it's a space I understood and I was prepared. And similarly, if you prepare for a job, like I get so many people who come to our company, right? And they don't know anything about us. They don't know anything about the job they're supposed to do. They don't know what it takes to be a VC. And I wonder, why did they even apply for the job? And they're not prepared. So if you go in prepared to something, it increases your odds of luck or increases your odds of success.
But when you place that bet on Ola, were you confident it has a long haul, or you had your own doubts when that really happened? What was it like when that really happened?
So I was an angel investor in those days, and the angel investing model is that you place small bets. So I met Bhavish at an event, And we discussed the idea. Then I said, okay, I'm in. And then I tried to syndicate the round to a bunch of my friends, and nobody wanted to invest because they didn't understand ground
you end up
transportation.
putting a lot of the money.
And I ended up putting 70% of the round because people were like, yeah, I can wave my arm and get a cab. This is Bombay. So who's going to order on some app or make a call to these guys? So I ended up writing 70% of the round, which wasn't a great angel investment because you should never do so much of a round. But I really liked the guys. I believed in the idea, and I wanted them to help them out.
Got it. Interesting story there. Bob, coming to you,
Yes.
you also talk about having multiple plan A's.
Yes.
All of us here in the ecosystem, otherwise in our normal routine, in India at least, we always have a plan B for everything.
Yes.
If this does not work,
Yes.
that will definitely work.
Well, Make Your Own Luck, the book, is really about helping to increase the odds of success. And one of the things I learned in life is that, human beings are not very good at predicting the future. We don't really know what strategy is going to work and what's not. And so what we typically do is to have plan A, plan B, plan C. And what happens? We just spend a lot of time and energy on plan A, it doesn't work, we go to the next one. What we're saying in the startup world, and in life, in your job, in your sales career, in your career, in corporate career, is have multiple plan A's. So instead of having one strategy after the other, take 2 or 3 things you do at the same time. You gain something very important. Number 1, you gain time. You gain time. You get back the time you lost on plan B, plan C, and so on. So that's the first thing. Second is you get result. You get a consequence. What happened? You did something great, or you did something bad. Well, if it didn't work, don't do that. Do the one that works and back it fully. So I did that in my career, in my life, and in the startup world that Rehan is in, which is startups often and companies often are presented with 2 or 3 options. The board looks at these options, says, well, let's go with one. And what happens? You burn a lot of cash, you burn a lot of resources, a lot of energy, and the marketplace then comes back and says it didn't work. So you wasted a lot of time. What we're saying is instead of plan A, B, and C, have A, B, E. Always be experimenting. And that's the way you increase your odds of success. And that's what we talk about in Make Your Own Luck.
Interesting. Also, you're coming out with the book at a time when the startup ecosystem in India has taken off, and how. Traditional methods of working for businesses, for corporates, is not very similar to startups, right? And we haven't really chronicled a lot of how the startup ecosystem has completely changed how anyone works, how ideas are addressed, how massive markets are really solved for.
Yes, it's a lot more agile, Rahul, right? Whereas the corporate system, and it has a lot of these contemporary ideas like the multiple plan A's, whereas in the old days, you had, and I've been part of those companies, you had the board, and what we used to do on the board is we used to see these presentations and we say, okay, let's go with this. And that what you went with only depended on who was mightier in the boardroom and was more persuasive, but nobody really knew. So the startup world has a lot of these contemporary ideas. It's younger people also, right? As you know, and it's working in new, completely uncharted domains. It's working in the mobile internet, which penetrates tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 towns. It's in vernacular. It's in gaming. It's in virtual money transfer and all kinds of things which the previous generation never worked on, which was so asset based.
Your quick tips to entrepreneurs watching this, for people who want to start up, for people in their corporate careers, 2 nuggets that you would really want them to have by.
Become an expert at something. Be really, really good at it. And the second is, I would say, take the hard road in life, because when you do easy things, someone else can also do them, right? So you go deep, and this connects with the first point. So 2 things, don't be shy of the hard road, embrace it, and become really good at something.